What's up, YouTube? It's your boy MG the producer. It's been a minute since I did an update on the MPC 60. In fact, it got sold and I never even updated the channel, and I just got it back. Let's go ahead and talk about it real quick. So here she is, guys, the MPC 62. It is officially back in the studio. In fact, I just got it back a couple of days ago, and since I got it back, I've been doing some cleanup on it because I never really finished doing what I wanted to do with it before I sold it. But let's go ahead and turn this bad boy on. Change my contrast, there you go. So why did I get the MPC 60 back, and how did I get the MPC 60 back? Let's go ahead and talk about it. But before we could even talk about it, let's go ahead and talk about why did I even sell the MPC 60, and then what did I replace it with? All right, you ever have yourself a really stupid idea but think that it's incredible? Well, about a month or so back, I thought it was a great idea to go ahead and get rid of the MPC 62 and get a synthesizer and get some other things from somebody local that I thought would have been a great fit for me, since I already had the MPC X and etc. So I went ahead and traded the MPC 62 for a couple of items like an MPC 1, a Roland JDXA, and a few other items. And I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't even really sleep afterwards, just full of doubt, full of regret, pretty much I should say. Really wishing I didn't do what I did. So what ended up happening was, I shot a video about this, is that MPC 1 that I got in that trade, I found somebody else that I'd done a deal with locally that I acquired an EPS 16 from, and he was willing to get rid of his 2000 XL for the MPC 1. So I went ahead and I did a trade for that. The gentleman that I sold this to didn't really have much time to really dig into it, and I sold it to him under the pretense that it was busted. And the reason why I thought it was busted was because I opened it up, I started cleaning up all these buttons, and everything from that point forward just sounded like crap. It wouldn't sample inside of it. The stereo mix knob was pretty crappy. You had to kind of shake it a little bit, and then it would kind of get its audio signal back, and then you could sample and everything was working as fine. I let the guy know, like, hey, this has some issues and this knob more than likely probably needs to be replaced. In fact, I can't even take this knob off. That's why it's still red, because I think the previous owner glued it. And I honestly feel like this is the wrong knob for this. I think this is actually the original encoder, but somehow it got stuck to the volume knob. And then there was a volume knob here, which had the actual cursor on it, and that was 100% wrong. I know that for a fact. So here's pretty much what I've done with the MPC 60 so far. Okay, I shot a video on it, but basically this MPC 60 was spray painted multiple times over. It was spray painted white, it was spray painted gold, and then spray painted green. So what you are looking at right now is going to be the result of maybe, I don't know, a good 10 hours worth of work of me literally hand scrubbing and hand sanding this machine to at least look in the condition that it looks in now. You can actually see the original MPC plastic and the original MPC faceplate. Please keep in mind, this whole entire faceplate perimeter was painted a bunch of crazy different colors. Every single button was painted gold and white, and everything else that you can think of. I literally took this MPC apart and I pretty much grabbed every single key, hand scrubbed them, hand sanded them with paint cleaner, everything that you could think of, and I got them back into condition. Now if you actually take a look over here, I didn't get a chance to do that to these, and if you can take a look at the buttons, they are still looking very ugly and grimy. So when I do have a chance and time to take off this panel again, I'll be taking off this board so I can be able to get these buttons off and be able to get a hand cleaning on them so they look as white as these. All right, so what's the plans with the MPC 60? Well, first and foremost, the plan was, let's get it back. So I went ahead and got the MPC 60 back, and I'm very, very excited for that. Before I went ahead and sold the MPC 60, like I mentioned, I did the whole button thing. I took this actual knob here. If you take a look from my inbox, it's actually missing its volume knob because I took it off and put a little hole through it and literally shoved it here so that it at least had a better encoder wheel. I'm not saying it is perfect, but it at least something that is working for the meantime and be able to make some music. Good news is today, through Centaur, I was actually able to find a original used encoder knob. I have a new contrast knob coming because if you take a look at this one, I'm not sure what really happened to it, but that's not really how these were supposed to be looking. These were actually very meaty and very thick, and this line here is usually a very thick, meaty green line. And I'm not exactly sure what happened to this contrast knob, but it looks like it's probably seen better light of day. So I went ahead and ordered a new contrast knob. I also went ahead and ordered a MPC 60, the Mark 1. I ordered a skin for that model, which is going to be, you know, the whole entire 60 Mark 1. But what I'm going to do is be able to pretty much just cut off this middle plate. But there is a but to everything. The MPC 62 is definitely wider than the MPC 60 Mark 1. So when I'm looking at the skin, I look and I see that it has at least about a finger length before the end of the platform and the end of the skin. If you look at my 62, I got at least 2 fingers in between here. So that means I'm gonna have to compromise and basically paint a border around this whole entire plate. Something with this peach looking, not peach, but this beige looking color, off-white color, whatever, basically, right? Just something that kind of just goes with it. It could even be a dark black border, doesn't really matter, even white. But basically just got to put a border around this whole entire plate. And then once that border is on here and it's at least 2, you know, fingers thick all around the board, I don't need it here at all. The skin will actually come all the way down here. The skin will actually reach all the way up here. It's actually width-wise. I'm actually probably short anywhere between, you know, maybe, you know, 2 or 3 inches. So, and I got 2 fingers on this side. So, you know, I'm gonna basically be short about maybe, you know, like I said, 2 or 3 inches, but it's not a big deal. That is pretty much what's coming next. I also forgot to mention, I did actually go ahead and order the overlays for all these buttons so that I can pretty much be able to see, you know, which record, you know, rewind, etc. So I'm hoping with the skin, the overlay, the original cursor, the original contrast, the at least MPC is going to be looking a lot better. What I've actually been doing today for the last 3 hours is actually been hand sanding this whole entire MPC top chassis over here. So when I was removing some of the paint, it was so thick on there that it actually would not even, you know, come off unless I agitated the paint. So I was using something causing agitation, but I did not realize that the substance that I was using to remove the paint from this plastic, if I allowed it to sit on this plastic for too long, it would actually warp the plastic and also cause abrasions from anything that is touching along, you know, pretty much the surface of it. So I was done removing a lot of the paint. One of the things that pained me about the MPC 60 after I was done was that all around here were nothing but very, very deep grooves and scratches that were covered in green because that was the original foundation after this beige, and everything that was deep cut in here was green and I couldn't pretty much get it out. So I have pretty much been spending the last, I don't know, 3 hours hand sanding the body of the MPC 62 so that it is pretty much looking a lot better. I did kind of scratch a little bit of my screen here, which is not really in the best condition anyhow. I did have an opportunity a couple of months ago from someone on Facebook who had some screens for sale. He contacted me. I was not quick on the draw and he sold them in a heartbeat, so that sucks. So I'm definitely looking for a new one of these. But what is my plan? Well, my plan is to pretty much go ahead and just get an Akai decal sticker, put the Akai Professional pretty much here, get a Rogerland decal, you know, I'll get it slapped on there and pretty much see if I can get the words back on here via decal. I know it's not going to be original, I know it's not going to be screen printed, but at the end of the day, I'm just doing what I can to kind of make this thing the best possible. I mean, I know these things are worth a good chunk of money. I'm not going to lie, it's not like what I didn't pay for it is not a good chunk of money. I mean, I paid, you know, if you guys would like to know, you know, I paid about $1,200 for the MPC 60. So, you know, bringing it back to life and doing a couple little small modifications on it, you know, I'm not really too bummed out about it. I'm not really buying this thing for the looks. I basically am buying this thing for its functionality and for pretty much what it does. I do have a GoTech floppy emulator installed inside of it. I'm saving beats. It's not been an issue whatsoever. So let's go ahead and talk about the reasons why I even sold the MPC 60. And then I'm going to talk about why I got it back. Well, to keep it short, I traded the MPC 62 to somebody locally because I needed a sampler and I also needed a synthesizer and some other things that pretty much he had, and I felt like this would have been a great persuader. It was a pretty stupid idea on my part, so I'm really glad that he agreed to go ahead and take on the MPC 2000 XL instead, and we worked out a reversal of the deal that we made, and we worked out some other things. So I'm just really glad that the MPC 62 is back in the house. And for the channel who does not know, because I haven't even really pretty much been active, and I do apologize for that, we do also have the MPC 3000 and the MPC X, so have no fear. I'm still pretty much working on, you know, some videos for, you know, the MPC series. Per feedback from the MPC group and stuff like that, people really like to see stuff about the effects, so I'll dig into that. But I'm not gonna lie, I've been kind of digging into this because the effects on this thing are pretty crazy, and I'll be touching base on that pretty soon anyhow. But anyways, let's go ahead and get back to the MPC 62. Here it is in pretty much all of its glory. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it isn't pretty. It can pretty much be gritty if you wanted to. It can sound clean if you wanted to. What do I think about it? I think it's pretty much incredible, to be honest with you. I think that the workflow when it comes to the MPC 60 is something that's very hard to be pretty much touched and matched. I am very quick when it comes to this one. It very much is, I mean, if you ever use an MPC 2000 XL before, if you ever use pretty much a 2500, even if you ever use a 5000 or even the Renaissance, then you're gonna just pretty much just feel right at home. There's a lot more functionality when it comes to this MPC. It's able to do a lot of things that even the new MPCs really cannot do. Something that it's able to do that I just absolutely love, just as an example, is if you can take a look here at length when it comes to the amount of time that I'm going to pretty much want to be sampling. I'm able to do something like, you know, 0.1 of a second. I would never do that because I actually use 0.3, but everything that I sample into the MPC 60 when it comes to like a drum, a snare, a percussion, or something in that matter, it gets sampled in at pretty much 0.3 seconds. Now keep in mind, that's not a second at all. That's 0.3 of a second. I don't have to be doing any kind of truncating. I'm not doing any kind of, you know, adjusting the end of my sample points because I got a little bit of noise or hiss or anything like that. Everything just pretty much comes in pretty much clean at 0.3 seconds. When it comes to something like the MPC X, unfortunately, you can only sample at the minimum of 1 second, which is a very long time because technically I can sample about 3 to 4 drum, snares, and percussion hits within that 1 second time. So I want you guys to understand that this machine has 26 seconds and I have the ability to utilize fractions of seconds. Please never ever call this MPC limited again. People don't really understand. There's people out there who are killing the game with just an SP404, and this has a very limited sequencer. This thing is able to do a lot of things that even a modern MPC can do. 8 outs. Monitor, you know, pretty much its sample source without the need of being in sample mode. It's able to pretty much do a lot of incredible things, and you'll be really surprised what you can do with 26 seconds of sampling time. with one of the most incredible sequencers that are pretty much identical to 3000, and we all know how legendary these beats came out of these machines. So I mean, it really blows my mind when I hear people tell me that the 60 or the 3000 or even the 2000 XL or the models are pretty much old and outdated, because there's no such thing as being outdated when it comes to having a sampler. And that's one of the main reasons why I got the MPC 62 back, because it pretty much is able to do anything that my imagination is pretty much able to throw at it. And the fact that it only has 26 seconds of sampling time means that I need to be creative with that time. I got to be able to squeeze in the best out of that time. So I got to be able to make sure that my sound source is going to be pretty much quality. And the reason why that's also not an issue when it comes to my production style is because I love to make sure that every single sound inside of the beat has a purpose. And you're never going to catch me having a beat that has 1,000 sounds in it. I mean, I really don't need no more than a few seconds here and there to be able to grab a snippet and be able to work some magic out of it. So yeah, that's the reason why I got the MPC 60 back. Plus, in that trade to get the 60 back came this SP404A. Haha, so what does that mean? That means not only did I get back my baby, but I also got back, well actually I also got a SP404 out of the deal to be able to pretty much get everything reversed back. So now I'm pretty much running beats inside of this thing, and I'm able to pretty much run my samples. Now that I've learned why everybody has one next to the MPC, you will never see me without having one in my studio, because I now understand the power of the SP404. I don't have the new one. Keep in mind, I'm rocking the A, but I also don't need the new one. I understand exactly what this thing is doing, what it's capable to do for me. I'm pairing it with the MPC 60, and this is gonna be my sampling kind of workstation whenever I kind of feel like working on something kind of gritty. Then we come over here and we have this bad boy, which is gonna be my newly acquired MPC 3000. Now this one is gonna be in mint condition. It's gonna actually have a card reader. It's gonna be expanded, as we pretty much know comes that way. Yeah, so this is my baby. This pretty much is gonna be coming with the wood grain, and I actually sold the MPC 60 with the intention to be able to replace it with a 3000, because I figured this is gonna be the machine for me to own. As an MPC fanatic, I actually wanted to own a genuine MPC. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because I do have the MPC X over here, but this is your modern day MPC. You know, it's not the Akai that, you know, was once a legendary, bringing, you know, some very, you know, game changing, you know, pieces to the industry, like when they brought out the 3000 and some of the rack samplers. So you know, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm definitely a fan of the X. I own the X. I like working with the X. I can get really busy with the X. It can do incredible things, don't get me wrong. This is definitely a doll in the box. But there's just something about being on this 3000, and there's just something about being on this 60 that once you pull up the seat, it's very comfortable to pretty much just sit here and kind of just work out some of your music. Now, what makes the MPC 60 so incredible to work on? Guys, if you actually just take a look at the big cash register in front of you, there's a reason why it looks like a cash register, because this thing literally sounds like it prints money. This thing has the swing, the Roger Lynn magic. It pretty much has the build quality. This thing has the legendary S950 12-bit sampler built inside of this thing. So if you want to get clean samples, you can. If you really want it to get gritty, it can really get gritty. So to be able to have that amazing sampler that most legendary producers even paired up with the SP1200 in a sequencer MPC form is just bananas, and it just sounds crazy. You have your original transports. You have pretty much, you know, that flagship size built workstation pretty much right in front of you. This machine is going to be, oh man, what is it? So if the 60 is going to be 30 years old going next year, then this bad boy is about to be what, 30 plus years old, 33 years old. Original buttons, every single one of them still works. Never have an issue, no tap issues. I open this bad boy up, everything is pretty much original inside of it. Comes standard with 8 outs. Right now I have a floppy emulator inside. Pretty much it is going to be having the Alexi. It does have the ability to listen to a sound source basically without the need of actually being in sample mode. So if you take a listen to this beat that I'm working on, this is the main screen of the 60. The beat's playing out of the SP404, but I'm not in sample mode. I can get to sample mode and you can listen to what's playing, but I'm not in sample mode anymore, and I'm still able to listen to the audio. And that is a feature that not even, let me stop this audio, I'm sorry. That is a feature that not even the 3000 is able to do, and it actually came out after the 60, and it's designed by the same mad scientist, Roger Lynn. So anyhow, guys, I got the 60 back. There's some of the reasons why behind it. Very much a fan of the traditional MPCs, as you can see here. Man, I don't want to make a video. This is not a comparison video, but just take a look at this section here. This machine is 30 years old as of next year. We have modern controls just like we have these ones here, right? But there's just a difference when it comes to these buttons. These feel like some very genuine thick buttons here. You can just tell the plastic's a lot thicker compared to these ones here. Plus also, we have this beautiful, beautiful section here that is missing from the MPC. Now tell me something, why would we have a beautiful tap tempo, right? Just inside, pretty much here too, right? We're able to use pretty much tap tempo. We have these big, nice buttons, right? So look at these transport buttons to be able to do our magic with, right? And then every single button that is here is going to be a real thick, big button, right? Over here, look at our tap tempo. Now that's something to be really confident to tap. That's something to be really confident to tap. Now you come over here and take a look at my tap tempo on the X. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but come on, man. What is Akai really thinking? When we have big buttons like this available, you're telling me this is the one that is going to be known out of the entire MPC to literally be beat on. Not all of them are meant to be beat on, right? But this one is literally meant to be, you know, beat on, and you're going to not give it any kind of meat. That's pretty disappointing, you know. At least the main screen is at least thick, right? At least, you know, stuff like your timing correction. I mean, it's alright, man. I mean, I'm not saying that the MPC X or the new MPCs ain't fire, but yeah, when you're behind one of these, you definitely know you're behind some quality. And even if this bad boy isn't looking pretty, yeah, it just sounds incredible. It just feels incredible to be on the MPC. It's expanded. Pretty much I do have the ability to have the 8 outs pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why not to have an MPC 62, an MPC 2000 XL, or any other pretty much MPC. I understand that the new ones are coming with all the effects, are coming with all the modern plugins and etc. But to be honest with you, I just pretty much MIDI in and control my MacBook. I run sound modules, VSTs, whatever you want to call them, basically, right? I'm running the 404, right? So the 404 is basically going to be the sample source for everything that, you know, is coming into, you know, the MPC. So let me go ahead and stop this here and, you know, the 404, and then from here I'm able to play around with the isolator, you know, be able to pretty much bring in the mids, lows, whatever I want to do. So there's my effects channel. Then I'm able to make the beat inside of here, do what I want to do with it, bring some magic. And then when I'm done, I can even grab this lo-fi beat or whatever 12-bit grit shit is coming out of here, bring it right back into this bad boy and be able to pretty much just process effects to it. I mean, there's no limitation except for your creativity, and that's the reason why the MPC 62 is back in the studio. Oh yeah, I also did order one of these because from picking it back up from the gentleman, it fell out. So that's unfortunate. So another one of these are on the way. But anyways, this is gonna wrap up this video. This is your boy MG, the producer. The MPC 62 is back. I'll be shooting a video on the 3000 pretty soon, but that's gonna wrap up this one.